Hello, this is Eric David for Modern Druid Podcast. I'm doing solo today, and we are having an interview with Meira Gimenez, also known as Stormy Nubles, right? We'll get into the name. Okay. And she is a Reiki practitioner. And also, what else do you do? You do anything else?
Yeah, so I also do sound and I'm a certified death doula, so I offer
Oh,
grief guidance sessions
yeah.
and I do oracle readings as well
Yes.
as make natural herbal smoke blends.
Yes. And you're from Nyack.
Yeah, so I moved to Nyack when I was 11.
Mm.
So I went to Nyack Middle School, I went to Nyack High School, and then I went to college upstate. I lived in the city for about a decade,
Mm.
and then I came back to Nyack at 31 and
Wow.
just kind of took a reset to
Nice.
reset where I was, and now I'm happy to be back. It
Yes.
took a little bit to feel good about those decisions, but
Mm.
now
Mhm.
I am in a good place.
Good. Well, sometimes it's always a transformation. Obviously, you're transformed into something what you really want to do. It took you
Mhm.
10 years.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're great. Everything's
Yeah.
awesome. So we're interviewing her because I wanted to kind of get into her reason why she got into this and also like what is kind of how she does Reiki.
Mhm.
If you don't know what Reiki is using, can you just give a short definition of Reiki? Which I
So, yeah,
so
so Reiki is a non-invasive healing technique. It was founded by Mikao Usui in Japan. And essentially, he studied philosophy, he studied Buddhism,
mm,
Christianity, Taoism. He studied a lot of different things.
right,
And he really wanted to understand like how humans could feel better on their own.
right.
And so he actually hiked Mount Karama in
Mm,
Japan, and he fasted and meditated for 21 days.
wow, that's
And
great.
so on this journey, he pulled from all these different studies and the chakra system and really kind of created Reiki
Ooh,
as this
okay.
cumulative
Yes, cumulative, yeah.
words,
Yes,
cumulative
yes. And then that's so
entity.
right.
Yeah.
And then I did read a little bit about the history of it,
Hmm.
not specifically for this, but been reading on Reiki. Then he started having, like, students, right? And then they kind
Hmm.
of, like, branched out, and that's really kind of what happened, just kind of took a collective consciousness kind of
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
again, the chakra system is aligned to the organs,
Mm,
and essentially it's, again, a non-invasive healing technique
mm.
that uses gentle touch, let's say, to really just clear out anything that's stuck or stagnant from an energetic space. So
And you
really
said it's from,
clearing.
like, the chakras, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, so
okay.
clearing out the auric field, working through all the chakras, and
Mm.
just, again, anything that feels sticky, I like to say.
Oh,
Sometimes
yes.
I say I feel like I'm like a chakra surgeon where
Mm.
I'm, performing surgery and removing anything that shouldn't be there so
Right.
that folks can feel lighter and
Mm.
feel more at peace.
Yeah. I've had your work, it's great. Yeah, but it's not necessarily like there is let's say if you're, like, doing Reiki on somebody, there is like a half an inch away
Mhm.
from the body, right? And then there is touching Reiki too, right? Like,
Yeah,
actually
so some folks trained with hands-on. I
right.
personally trained with hands-off.
Okay.
I did my training with Sienna, Van Dunk out of Demure Life in Chester, New York,
Okay.
and
Shout out to her.
yeah, shout out Sienna. Love you. And so, yeah, I learned, no touch. And so, yeah, hands basically hover directly over the body. Of course, we look through the chakras, but then, all the limbs, all the different
Mm.
body parts,
Yes.
anything that, again, feels sticky is like the best word that I
Right.
can use
Right.
to kind of remove and break things up. I
Mm.
also use sound as like an add on. So, some sessions today, I had a private client where I used crystal singing bowls,
Mm.
Tibetan singing bowls, a rain stick. I
Yeah.
have like a few of the like shakers, maracas, things like
Mhm.
that,
Right.
um, tingsha bells. So I have different options
Right.
for folks.
So if somebody comes to you, do they go, "I want the whole shebang," or they go, "I don't really want any sound. I just like to do the energy work," right?
Yeah, it's really about the preference of the person.
Okay.
And so I always have a free 20-minute consultation with
Mm.
folks where I get to know them, they get to know me.
Oh, that's
We
great.
kind of talk about how they're feeling, what they're looking for.
Mm.
And then it really is a preference
Right.
of like, I do have some clients who maybe are sensitive to sound and they
Okay.
prefer just, traditional Reiki. I have some that are really looking for like a deep dive. And I always recommend, that elevated session if you're
Yes.
really interested to get in there
Mhm.
because the sound really helps support the Reiki move through the body
Mm.
and help anything that feels stuck to really
Right.
kind of get out in a holistic way. Also, it's kind of like a sound bath. So you
Yeah.
get a lot of benefits of sound healing with
Mm.
the Reiki as well.
Right. So it's not so some people can just come in for, like, I guess you would say, tune up, right?
Mhm.
Kinda like the what do you call those? The wands or the things that you
Oh, yes.
what do they call them? Forks. Kinda like
Yes,
the
tuning
forks.
forks.
Yes,
Tuning
tuning forks.
forks. Mhm.
Yes, and, because I've had that done many
Mhm.
Morgana's actually done
Yes.
actually, it's really amazing, and it's when she did, like, I feel like weird things,
Mm,
but it's same thing with Reiki. I mean,
mhm.
you've done Reiki on
Mhm.
me, one of our other friends have done it. I've only did it a couple of times, but I actually you do feel it. It's
Yes.
amazing, right?
100%.
Now, you're probably working with a lot of people with also, like, need to get, like, negative energy out.
Mm,
So, like, how do you protect yourself? Because
yeah.
that's a big thing too, right? Because 'Cause you're
Yeah.
taking in some of their energy probably, right?
100%.
Right.
So, yeah, so I typically, if I have private clients or even when I'm at Modern Druid, because I do work here typically twice a month, offering
Yes.
15 and 30-minute sessions.
Yes.
When I'm at home, I can use Palo Santo or
Mm.
sage and Florida water. When I'm at Modern Druid, I use Florida water. And
Right.
so before I work with a client, I always kind of cleanse myself. And to kind of call in the Reiki, we do have, like a prayer that we have to say to kind of start the process. And then before I work with the client, I kind of shield myself with Reiki
Right.
and my hands to
Okay.
kind of ensure that, I'm putting like a safe bubble around me
Okay.
and then when I'm done, I kind of close that out.
Mm.
After I close out the person, I also kind of close myself
Yeah.
up to end it.
Ever did anybody so heavy that it's like, you can, like you can't
Yeah.
sing a
Well, the thing about Reiki, and I always say this at the end of each session, when I'm kind of closing out, is like I want this to go wherever the person needs it the most.
Yes. Yeah.
It's this universal life force energy, which is what
Yeah.
Reiki
Mm.
is translated directly to.
Right.
Um, so I always say at the end, like, I want this to go wherever the person needs it. I have had people cry a handful of times
Mm.
when they're working with me
Yeah.
during or after. If I have had a client before where sometimes I'm like digging for their chakras. So I have had a few clients who maybe have suppressed some of
Mm.
their emotions or trauma or whatever it may be. Sometimes I have to dig around for chakras. There's times where people's chakras are like in the sky or like more elevated and I kind of have to bring them down.
Yes.
So each client is different,
Mm.
but the main goal is to whether I'm bringing it up, bringing it down, or like moving it around so it's like all in a row.
Okay, yes.
That's like the vision of just
Sure.
aligning the person's energy. But I wouldn't say I've had anything that's been like very difficult. I just have to pull on all my tools and that's when the sound comes in.
Right.
I also have a feather that I
Mm.
use. It's a turkey feather.
Okay.
So I use that to help, you know,
Like clear out,
like clear it
not
out.
tickle.
So there's a lot of different options that
Yeah.
kind of help me in aiding
Yeah, like
the
clearing out.
Reiki to move through the body.
Mm. Yeah, it must be very powerful, especially to open up somebody that is, like, definitely holding stuff in. That's
Yeah.
gotta be a very powerful experience
It
for them
is. Yeah. And
because
it's
they may not even recognize it,
that's
right?
true. And I
And then
think
you find it, and then some childhood trauma comes up or
mhm.
something, or trauma from anything, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because how often do we as people lay down for an hour
Yeah.
without
We always ask, "Hey, how you doing?"
any
"I'm doing
right.
good, doing good." But if you really knew inside, like what I
Right.
the
Yeah.
laying down is actually very vulnerable, right?
Exactly.
So do you do them, like, laying down, or you do them sitting down? Or some are sitting and some are laying,
Yeah,
depending.
so when I'm at Modern Druid, we
Uh-huh.
have a chair. It's
Okay.
kind of like a swivel
Yes.
chair that you're sitting. I do provide eye masks for
Mm.
clients private or even if I have fairs, I have my whole table set up
Mm,
so they're laying down, and also have an eye mask so they can really kind of tap into their senses and just allow the Reiki to work. And there definitely is a level of vulnerability
yeah,
that clients have to come with
sure.
because then if they're open, I'm able to kind of really get in there and
Right,
support them in clearing anything out that's kind of maybe holding them back in some ways
right,
or, just not helping them anymore, not
right.
serving them.
You can experience things certain ways and you just go, "Well, it's okay."
Yeah.
Some people I know did acupuncture and they're like, "That didn't do anything for me," right?
Yeah.
But I feel like Reiki, every time I've done it with a couple different people, I'm like, "Oh, I can feel it." I'm very sensitive to it. I think
Yeah.
some people probably are a little, like you said, they're a little more guarded, so they
Mhm.
won't let that energy probably flow through them.
Yeah.
But if you're a little more grounded and you kinda know how to accept your energy, right? Because 'Cause you're
Right.
using your energy too.
Exactly. Yeah, I
Yeah.
use my energy, but I'm a channel. So essentially, like I shared before, when I start, there is, a Reiki prayer to kind of call in the
Mm,
universal life energy, the support from Mikao Usui, all Reiki masters,
right.
and so it's also some channeling.
Right.
Um, Also, I believe maybe my ancestors are with me. I feel like I have my spirit team that supports me in my
That's good. Do you
sessions.
have to pay them for that?
They're just they're with me.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome. I actually did a Reiki session with someone, and they actually said that there is my guide was with me, this person, right? And
Mm,
then I did it with somebody else, not with you, but I've
mhm.
done ones with you, and they said the same thing.
Yeah.
They didn't know about it. So I don't know who's hanging around with me. It's one of my ancestors or who knows? It's probably a lot of opening for you too, right?
Oh, for
A lot of growth
sure.
for you, right?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, at first, I was maybe second guessing myself a little bit of, like, what was
Sure.
coming through,
Yeah.
because I think for me, the things that I pick up on are typically, like, animals or, like,
Mm.
nature
Yeah.
and activities
Interesting.
seem to be, like, what comes through me with the client, and at first, I'm like, why is a giraffe coming up? Or like it's like a butterfly
Yeah.
or,
Hey, wow. Wow,
someone's
that's
like
pretty cool though.
surfing or
Yeah.
playing tennis.
Interesting.
And at first I was like, am I supposed to like tell the person this? And then over time, I created this card that
Mm,
really helps me out. It's a
mm,
double-sided card. On one side is a silhouette of a body with the chakras. And there I write down things that come up and on the other side, I write down any signs or messages that come through and then
mm.
some recommendations and next steps for the client.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, because you may not be able to decipher everything, right? So then they can kind of like, I hate to say this, but chat GPT it or something. Like to find out or like look on
Yeah.
Instagram, what does this giraffe mean symbolically in spirituality? Because
Yeah.
like I wouldn't know what a giraffe. I mean, I would think of like reaching towards something
Yeah.
like a goal because you're long neck, but we
Right.
don't know. Like probably with some other type of cultural significance spiritually
Mhm.
that means
Yeah,
right.
it's also just the subconscious, like, subliminal space that we're
Yes.
in because the client is in this space.
Yeah.
I'm in this space.
Right.
We're both meeting in this
Yeah.
other dimension.
Sure.
And so it's funny with the giraffe, actually, the client had recently I think had acupuncture
Oh,
and was talking to the act some they were talking about giraffes and, like, going on a
wow.
safari. So,
Wow.
that was, like, just a subconscious situation,
Sure.
but other times I've had I think it was a flower of some sort that was a client's grandmother's favorite flower that they
Oh,
planted.
that's really, really
And
cool.
I never know, again, how much weight certain things mean, but
Yeah.
having that note card, I just kind of brain dump what comes through.
Yeah.
And I've had clients months later reach out and be like, "Oh, like, I know what this means now."
Mm,
So, it's nice to just have that space to write it down, and then for the clients, I have returning clients who keep all their cards.
mm.
They like to refer back and kind of see what shifted. So, that's really helped me in my sessions and
Yeah.
for the client to have something really
And that's something
tangible.
you kinda just developed. You didn't even get that from Reiki teaching.
I'm sure it was recommended
Right.
at some point,
Right.
but it was really for me to
You
kind
get
of make sense of
right.
what I was doing and
Yeah.
then to give the client something.
Because you're getting such a big download, of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get that through, like, people that do meditation with me, and they're like, "Man,
Mhm.
oh, this thing came up," or even the Aura machine, like,
Right.
we'll talk about things, and that's a really good idea. I might have to
Mhm.
steal that then.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
Listen, sharing is
I don't think
caring.
stealing
Sharing, we're sharing.
Yes, yes, it is. Sharing is caring, but, um, it's a collective conscious, right? So we're all
Mhm. Yeah.
kinda like, yeah,
Yeah, and we all wanna help people feel better, especially as healers.
sure. Yeah. So, besides Reiki, which, is awesome, that's the major part of what you
Mhm.
do,
Yeah.
and you said you did well, I know we're not gonna talk much about it, but because I know you're still training, but I know you're doing yoga training,
Yes, I
and
am
I'm very
this
proud of you.
I Yes.
remember when
So
you're
mm,
starting, right? That's
yeah.
gonna be awesome. That just
Mhm.
adds to your weapons, I would say,
Mhm. Yeah.
like good weapons, right?
Yes.
But you
Collecting all the modalities.
yes, right. Now you do oracle reading,
Mhm.
okay, and is there a certain deck you use, or is it just you use different
Yeah,
decks?
so I've had the same deck since 2020.
Wow, okay. 6
So,
years old.
6 years old,
Mhm.
and that was actually probably one of my first major steps into spirituality.
Right.
Of course, COVID 2020 were
Sure.
all, you know, it was a difficult time. And yeah, I was just looking for something to kind of make sense of
Right.
what I was going through and
Mm.
just to feel inspired. I've always loved animals and nature. I think that's
Mhm.
probably why that is what comes through in my sessions.
Okay.
But the deck I use is animal based and it has 44 cards. Four is my lucky number. So I saw it and just felt like that's the deck. That's the
Yeah.
only deck I use. I know
Mhm.
those cards like the back of my hand. So I do those one off readings, but I also have that as an add on for Reiki sessions as
Oh,
well, which
that's
I love doing that
yeah,
too.
that's really cool.
Hmm.
That's a really good option. Well, it's nice you offer other things besides that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because I think that's the way you kind of like when you have all these different tools, you can dig in a little deeper when you need to, you
exactly.
know?
Yeah, and every client's different,
Yeah.
and so I like having different options for
Mhm.
folks, and for me too, it's like I'm down for whatever they're
Yeah.
comfortable with or interested in,
Yeah.
but it's nice to have different things to pull in.
To tap in.
Mhm.
And then what we say? We said oracle, and then we did yoga. What else was there? Was there some
Yeah, so, I did my death doula
that's
training
it.
with
Yes.
the Death Wives.
Well, they're starting in Modern Druid, right? Okay,
Yes.
so when did they reschedule it? Because you were
Yes,
ill?
unfortunately, I was sick. We were supposed to have a session, but now it will be on Friday, July 31st.
Okay.
It's called the Threshold Gathering
Mhm.
Series. So I'll be leading that
Mhm.
alongside Morgana and Teresa.
Nice.
But the vision for that is kind of just a circle, let's say,
Okay.
like an information
Mm,
sharing. We're all doing a mini presentation on the different kinds of grief.
okay.
When I did my death doula course, I really did it for myself, I think, initially to
Mm,
kind of deal with some loss that I faced
mm,
and trying to kind of make sense of how to honor some really important people that
right.
passed on. And training that I did, I had a vision for one day offering sessions. There were some people in that course where they were maybe more in the funeral industry or they were looking more into, celebrations of life or, natural burials,
Right.
things like that. For me personally, what I kind of went into that with the vision and after was really helping folks that have survived from this person passing.
Okay.
And how do you really make sense of yourself
Mm,
and the world without this person in the
right.
physical sense? And so I'm really excited about this workshop that we'll have in a few weeks to kind of share like, yes, death of a loved one or a person is a major life transition that we all face.
Mm,
But there's also so many other types of grief,
right.
right? We have collective grief, like the pandemic, natural
Yes.
disasters, right? That we all see bad things happening and we
Sure.
have this collective grief. There's ambiguous grief. Maybe if you lose a pet,
Mm,
for first women, if you have a miscarriage,
right.
there's all these different kinds of grief. If you lose a job, if you have
Right.
a breakup,
Right.
right? And so for the threshold gathering, I'll kind of walk through all the different kinds of grief that we face
Right.
and also share the chakras and
Mm,
how grief impacts each chakra
okay.
and how it shows up in your body. as well as sharing some, recommendations for how to move forward with that.
Right.
And then we'll have a safe space to have discussion, if anyone feels comfortable sharing. And then we'll end that with a sound healing session at
Hmm.
the end.
Yeah, that's probably really important at the
Mhm.
end
Exactly.
because it's a lot of, I don't wanna say it's negative energy because it's
Mhm.
not. It's just, I guess you would say very lower vibrational energy, would it be?
It
Right?
can be
It's
heavy.
Yeah, it could be heavy,
It
that's
can
what I
be
mean. It could be
heavy.
really
Yeah.
heavy, and I think the goal is kind of, I don't wanna say a goal, but it would be like to get through the other side
Mm.
of accepting, right? And then maybe celebrating that person
Yeah.
in a way. I was always fascinated by, like, New Orleans when somebody died, how they
Mhm.
have
Oh,
the celebration
yeah.
because I think, especially here in the States, it's a like, we're, like, the only culture that really looks at it in a really bad way.
Right.
Even though you're gonna be sad, you're gonna be missing
Mhm.
that person. Our culture here a little bit in the United States is, I mean, it could get a little dark, but and it's like there is, I think there is something like this what people need.
It's
Right.
hard, but I think,
Yeah.
like you said, other cultures celebrate differently.
Yeah.
So my dad passed in 2017, and my stepmom is from Thailand,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so
Oh, that's right, you told me
yeah,
that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
he actually passed in Thailand,
Okay.
and he had this massive Buddhist funeral, and it was very tough.
Yeah.
I went out there as soon as I found out he was in the hospital, and so I was kind of on standby with my stepmom to support with
Mm.
all the arrangements. And actually, when I did my death doula course with the death wives, I did a mini presentation on the funeral and on the Buddhist traditions, and it was very beautiful. As sad as it was,
Yeah.
you know, there was a lot of things that allowed me to find peace in that moment.
Mm.
It
Yeah.
was a very sacred process.
It's Buddhism. Yeah.
They after he passed, of course, you know, alert we had to alert the US Embassy because he's a US citizen. We
Mm.
had to do all the official paperwork, get all the certificates,
Yeah.
which was very overwhelming.
Yeah.
Um, but once all of that got settled, we were able to work with a local temple, and the process of washing the body,
Oh, yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
making sure everything was like clean. We did this like purification ritual
Right.
with water.
Yeah.
Once he was kind of clean and dressed in the casket, it was like a whole group of us that like moved him
Mm.
from like one room over to where, the ceremony was.
Mm.
That was, I think, like at least 4 days.
Right. Wow,
People
yeah.
could come visit at night, in the day. And then after that ceremony, we brought him over to the crematorium. And there were strings that were tied on him that we then held
Mm.
to like bring him.
Wow.
And so those strings represent like his body and his soul,
Mm.
like connecting and then releasing that in the
Wow.
crematorium where he got cremated. And then we were able to put the ashes in the Chao Phraya River, which is a major river in
Yes.
Thailand.
Mm.
And then I was able to bring some ashes home
Mm.
where I put them in the Hudson River
Wow.
in New York. So, as difficult as that was, I think it was also very healing.
Mm.
And I think learning about that experience, that's part of what I would love to offer
Mm.
for folks in
Yeah.
these grief guidance sessions is to kind of unpack whatever grief they're going through,
Right.
whether it's a person and finding ways to honor them
Yes.
by maybe creating an altar, journaling with them, maybe even, having a celebration of life, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Everyone has different capacity or
Sure.
interest to explore that.
Yeah.
But that is kind of my vision for this sector of my business
Mm.
is to find a way to support people in honoring whatever grief they're going through and kind
Right.
of work through it and end up with something tangible,
Yeah.
whether it's a new ritual or a new routine
Mm.
to
Yes.
honor themselves, but and this person.
How do we book you? Will we book you
Yes.
through the store or we go on your website?
Yeah, so my website is storynublis.com, and
Spell that
so
out, 'cause
on there
you
oh, okay, so
it's good.
w.stormy, STORMY,
Mhm.
NUBLES.com,
Okay.
and Nublis, roughly translates to "You are a stormy cloud." My heritage is from Paraguay,
Mm.
and so I wanted to honor the Spanish language, and Nublar means to cloud in Spanish, and Nubes means clouds. So I kind of made up a word
Oh,
with
that's
my
awesome.
business. So
Why
Stormy
not?
Nubles. And so that's my website. And you can just click to book a consultation. As I mentioned, we'll meet for 20 minutes virtually over Google Meet, where we can talk about where you're at. I can get to know you, you can get to know me, and then
Mm,
we can kind of decide what session you're interested in, whether
mm,
it's Reiki, just traditional Reiki,
mm.
whether it's an oracle reading, whether it's Reiki with sound or grief guidance. And then my Instagram is at Stormy Newbliss. And in my bio, I do have a few links. I created this energy healing guide. And so that's one of the first links. You can sign up and be added to my newsletter,
Oh,
and you'll receive this free chakra energy healing guide.
I need to get on the newsletter. I did
Right?
not
You
know that.
should. Yeah. So, yeah, I have about 10 emails on the
Okay.
newsletter. It's kind of a journey. I did work with Allie, the Bronx Witch. She was a business coach.
Mm,
She was really helpful to help me kind of get all that set up.
nice.
So, definitely as an entrepreneur, it's important to have mentors and people support
Yes.
you. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's one of the first links to get
Mm-hmm.
on my newsletter. And so you'll receive the guide, and then you get a series of emails that talk more about my experience, starting my business, kind of some of my journey, my own healing journey,
Mm,
how Reiki's helped me, how sound has helped me, all those things. And then also one of those links in my Instagram bio is to book the consultation with
right.
me.
And you're here every other Friday, it's always two, right?
Yes.
2 to 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would say at least 2 times a month
Right.
from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at
Mm.
Modern Druid,
And you can just do a walk-in
and you
if
can also do a walk-in. But
nice.
yeah, I do 15-minute and 30-minute healing sessions, and I do include sound automatically.
Okay.
So if you come to Modern Druid, you will get sound and Reiki.
Well, this was a great, great interview. See how simple it was?
Yeah.
This is her first
Yeah,
podcast.
this is my first
Yes. I
podcast.
got her in the first podcast. This is great. So, thank you. And, anytime, just hit her website or just,
Yes, follow me on Instagram, join my newsletter, come
mm,
walk in. I'm always looking to meet like-minded people, even if you've never heard of Reiki before and
mhm,
you just wanna chat.
mhm.
We can have a conversation and see if any other services would be interesting for
Sure.
you.
Well, thank you.
Of course.
Bye-bye.